Hey guys, what's going on? Wayne here. So look, one of the major things that we discuss a lot here on Machine Heads is the tool carrier versatility of compact equipment. In other words, all the attachments that various types of compact machines can carry, and in turn, all the additional ways that you can use a machine besides its intended purpose of either digging or loading. And that's because at the end of the day, buying a machine that can do 3, 4, or 5 jobs instead of just 1 or 2, that's the best way to maximize your investment and speed up the ROI of a given machine. And today on Machine Heads, we're going to be talking about an attachment, but not just any attachment. Now, most of the tools that you interface with a given machine are really aimed at one type of job: breakers, brooms, grapples, forks. But today we're talking about tilt rotators, excavator attachments that are designed not for one job, but for adding more versatility, more flexibility, more precision, and more efficiency across every job and every tool that you do and use with your compact excavator. Now, in the past, tilt rotators were mostly perceived as being an attachment best for larger excavators, but that's changed over the last several years, and we'll talk about some of the reasons why. But the big one is that the cost of these things has really come down as the technology has kind of matured, and there's just a lot more demand for these machines here in North America now than there was before. All of that to say, the reason that these are particularly interesting in the context of a compact excavator is that you could really argue that you'll get the best ROI and the highest increase in versatility on a compact excavator rather than you would on a larger excavator. Now, why? Well, that's what we're covering in this video. We're also going to be taking a look at specific models from two of the biggest names in the tilt rotator space, Engcon and Rototilt. So let's dig in. Okay, so let's kick things off with the very basic of basics. What exactly is a tilt rotator? The name gives us a pretty good clue, but the best way to think of a tilt rotator is as a wrist for your excavator's arm. And just like your wrist connects your hand and anything your hand holds to your body or to the rest of your arm, a tilt rotator connects buckets, grapples, breakers, brooms, and other attachments to your excavator's arm. But of course, that's not all it does, because then it would just be a coupler, and you've already got one of those. In addition to interfacing, the tilt rotator also gives operators the ability to tilt and rotate a connected tool. Now, most tilt rotator models can rotate a connected tool a full 360 degrees, so a full circle, and they can tilt a connected tool as much as 45 degrees. The tilt rotator was first introduced in Sweden back in the 1980s by Rototilt, and over the last 40-ish years, tilt rotators really became just about standard equipment on Scandinavian and European excavators. And they're now growing in popularity here in North America as well. In Europe, there are really places where penetration of this attachment reaches as much as 90% of the excavator market, which is just a crazy number. Obviously, we're nowhere near that here in North America, but the technology is slowly growing. All right, so let's get into the benefits of a tilt rotator for your business. To imagine the benefit of a tilt rotator to your compact excavator, just start by imagining that you were unable to rotate or tilt your hand. Like if you'd broken some part of your arm and now you have a cast on the arm and it goes, past the wrist, right? Let's imagine you have that cast on your arm. Think about how much harder or more time consuming that would make really normal mundane tasks. Opening doors, eating, drinking, getting dressed, showering, stuff like that. Now just imagine how much easier life becomes or returns to once you remove that cast from your arm. If you've ever had a cast, you know that getting that thing taken off is so freeing. It feels so good to be able to have the full range of motion of your hand back. It's like getting back to normal. Well, that's exactly what happens when you add a tilt rotator to a compact excavator. So without a tilt rotator, your excavator is limited to digging and using tools in one plane of motion, or really one dimension. And because of this limitation, because you can't move the excavator arm or tool exactly how you need to, you end up having to move the machine itself into new positions so that you can place the bucket or the tool you're using in the proper orientation to get the thing done that you need to get done. But once you add that tilt rotator, suddenly you can move the tool in the way that you need to. You can orient the tool in just the right way so that you don't have to move the machine at all. You're able to completely optimize your digging motion and fully utilize the excavator where it sits rather than having to stop, reposition, maybe disturb kind of the turf or the dirt underneath you, reposition the machine, and try all over again. That's really time consuming. The tilt rotator eliminates that. So what that means is it takes less time to do just about everything. And that makes operators and their machines more efficient and more productive. And beyond that, the added flexibility turns veteran excavator operators into absolute artists, able to sculpt the earth around them in absolutely incredible ways. To see examples of this, all you got to do is really just search tilt rotator here on YouTube and you'll see a ton of examples. Do that after you watch this video though. Now, another huge benefit of a tilt rotator beyond the added flexibility and precision that it gives you while you're operating the machine and using a particular tool is that it just makes the compact excavator a more versatile tool carrier in general. And as we have talked a lot about here on Machine Heads, when your compact machine can carry more tools more effectively, that means usually that you need less people and in some cases fewer machines to get a given job done. So the first thing to really establish as we get into this conversation of the ease of connecting tools is that tilt rotators don't make connecting to other tools or other attachments more complicated. It's an attachment for your attachments, right? But that's as deep as the complication gets. In general, you can equip tilt rotators to swap between tools in under a minute, and that includes hydraulically powered tools, and without having to exit the cab. And that's really key, obviously, to the versatility angle of this, because what we're gonna dig into here is replacing labor or whole machines with whole other attachments. Now, based on my conversations with folks in this space, this tilt rotator space, many businesses that have invested in a tilt rotator have found that the added flexibility and extra features that tilt rotators bring have removed the need for workers with shovels doing cleanup tasks around the machine. For instance, Rototilt tilt rotators offer a pulse function that allow you to shake material out of the bucket that you have connected and then evenly distribute it down into a trench, or do some grading around elements that require precision like manhole covers. Swapping into a grading bucket with a tilt rotator also allows you to do slope and fine finish grading. Plus, tilt rotators are fully compatible with machine control technology, and they can actually boost fuel savings that you get when you're using 2D and 3D machine control systems. Now, speaking of manhole covers and other objects that need lifting and moving around a job site, you can quickly swap into a grapple as well, and then pick up things like those manhole covers or large boulders and other objects much easier than you would normally in other situations, like if you're having to use straps or chains. And plus, straps and chains, not the safest way to go about this. But look, you might not even need a grapple to pick up many objects. A really popular option when configuring tilt rotators is to spec them out with a gripper or kind of like an integrated grapple. And these are basically kind of like a pair of pincers or pinchers, whatever you want to call them, that are located on the back of the wrist. So you can basically kind of like tilt the attachment backward, and then those kind of pinchers can kind of clamp around really anything, other attachments, PVC pipe, other objects, any kind of material you might want to move and tote around, and all while you still have another tool like a bucket or fork still attached to the tilt rotator's main coupler. Now, tilt rotator owners have also found that this added tool carrier versatility means that they need a skid steer or CTL around a lot less often. There's a lot of jobs, especially on residential job sites or in the landscaping and hardscaping industries, where guys are hauling around both a compact excavator and a skid steer. That pairing is super, super popular, and it's really kind of hurt the backhoe as a machine category overall, especially on kind of like larger job sites. Anyway, they're using the excavator for the majority of the work in these situations, but then they also need to have the skid steer around whenever they need to move around pallets of bricks, sod, blocks, or other material that comes up in these landscaping or hardscaping types of jobs. But with a tilt rotator, you can quickly swap into that set of forks unload and move your pallets around without needing to ever leave the seat of the excavator. And not only are some operations able to skip having a skid steer on hand, they're finishing a lot of these jobs where a tilt rotator toting excavator is on site 30 to 40% faster than they were before. Now, beyond forks and buckets, other attachments that are growing in popularity with tilt rotators are powered sweepers that makes site cleanup super easy and very fast. That can kind of reduce the amount of labor that you need in some situations. And hydraulic plate compactors are another popular attachment that are getting paired with tilt rotators. In fact, attachments in general are sold so often with tilt rotators that Rototilt says each tilt rotator it sells, on average, is sold with 3 to 5 attachments. Okay, so now that we've established the functionality and benefits of tilt rotators on compact excavators, let's take a look at specific models on the market today. And we're gonna start with Rototilt, since they did create the industry more than 4 decades ago. Now, Rototilt offers 6 models for compact excavators: the R1, the RC1, the R2, the RC2, the R3, and the RC3. The R1 and RC1 are really sized for 1.5 to 3.5 metric ton machines. The R2, moving up to that machine, the R2 and the RC2, those are for 3 to 6.5 metric ton machines. And then rounding things out, the R3 and RC3 cover machines that breach into that MIDI class of 6 to 12 metric ton machines. Now, the RC series tilt rotators represent Rototilt's latest and greatest models. These improve over the R series models with improved joysticks, the addition of proportional hydraulics, and the implementation of Bluetooth connectivity that allows for remote diagnostics on the attachment. Plus, Rototilt says that the proportional hydraulics on RC models improve response and lessen the fuel demands on the machine, and they can improve fuel efficiency by as much as 30% over the R series. Apart from those improvements, the R series and RC series are pretty functionally identical, and each of the models we covered offers 40 degrees of tilt. Now, Rototilt plans to keep both series around, with the R series serving as a more basic entry-level model and the RC series being kind of placed or positioned as their premium product line. Okay, now let's turn to Engcon, which offers 5 models for compact excavators. Now, these models include the EC02, EC04, EC06, and EC09, along with 2 basic series models in the EC02 Basic and EC04 Basic. Now, the EC02 and EC02 Basic are designed for excavators between 1.5 and 3 metric tons. Now, both models offer 40-degree tilt, but the Basic is an entry-level model that is designed to be more plug and play. It works with the existing system on the excavator, and as such, it doesn't add any additional control systems. The EC02, on the other hand, offers a choice of several different control systems based on your machine's features. Moving up to the EC04 and EC04 Basic, these are designed for excavators between 2 and 4 metric tons. Now, these 2 models offer 45 degrees of tilt, so these are about 5 degrees more tilt than the EC02 models. And like the smaller EC02 models, they kind of differ from one another in the basic model's lack of additional control systems. Now, rounding out the lineup are the EC06 and EC09. The EC06 is meant for excavators in the 4 to 6 metric ton range, while the EC09 is designed for excavators in the 6 to 9 metric ton range. Both the EC06 and EC09 also deliver 45 degrees of tilt. Now, another major feature that Engcon offers on its tilt rotators that really speeds up swapping between tools is EC Oil. Now, EC Oil is Engcon's automatic quick coupler system, and it allows you to swap between hydraulic tools in as little as 10 seconds and without having to leave the cab of the excavator. Now, Engcon installs this EC Oil coupler system both above and below the tilt rotator itself. And the benefit of that is it allows you to not only quickly connect the tilt rotator to tools, it also allows you to connect and disconnect from the tilt rotator itself very quickly and efficiently. Now, Engcon offers EC Oil as standard equipment on some of its tilt rotator models and configurations. Just kind of depends on how you put this attachment together. And it offers that as an available option across its entire lineup. So investing in a tilt rotator for your compact excavator can really transform the way you do business. It not only makes an excavator operator more precise and more efficient, but it can also mean needing less machines and less people on a given job site to do the same amount of work. But at this point, you're probably wondering, okay, what's the cost? I've heard these things are expensive. In general, you can expect to pay from anywhere from 30% to 50% of your excavator's price for a tilt rotator. Now, where you land in that range is going to depend on, obviously, the size of the tilt rotator you need, the options you add to it, and the attachments you buy with it. But in general, things start at around that 30% of the purchase price of your excavator, and they go up to 50%. So it's not a cheap addition when it, if you keep it in the context of this is an attachment. I can't believe I'm paying, 50% of the purchase price for this thing. But I would argue that based on everything we've looked at here, the value that you're adding far exceeds that 50% of the purchase price. And in terms of ROI, Engcon says that they typically see tiltrotators pay for themselves within 1,500 hours of use. So how do you know if it's time to invest in a tiltrotator? Well, one good indicator is if you're struggling to get labor or if you're looking to eliminate the need for additional labor, or if you're pondering whether you might need to add a skid steer to your landscaping or hardscaping business. As we covered earlier, adding a tiltrotator to your excavator can eliminate both the need for a skid steer in many situations and the need for guys on the ground with shovels or that are doing cleanup work. Now, another good indicator of when it might be time to consider a tiltrotator is if you're thinking of adding another excavator to your operation. Both Rototilt and Engcon say they've spoken with customers who are now able to do the work of 2 excavators with 1 machine, thanks to the time savings that they've gotten out of their tiltrotator investment. And kind of wrapping things up here, what about operator adjustment? While there is a learning curve associated with using a tiltrotator for the first time, Engcon and Rototilt say that once you've had a week or 2 to get used to this new kind of flexibility and versatility, not having to move the machine around and kind of just retraining your muscle memory, you adjust very quickly. And within a month, you're fully realizing the benefit in operation. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up our look here at tiltrotators for compact excavators. Hopefully we answered any kind of questions that you had as you're kind of embarking on trying to figure out whether or not an investment in a tiltrotator is right for you. So if you like this video and found the information in it useful in your next purchase or rental, please do us a favor and hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed to the Compact Equipment channel. It really helps us out in bringing you more content like this. If you want more content like this, by the way, you should check out our website, compactequip.com. You'll find a whole lot more there on the compact equipment segment. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. We always appreciate the time and love hanging out with you. We'll see you in the next one.